Hello and welcome to this new edition of News Today. Without delay, let's have a look at the headlines first. Russian missiles hit Children's Cancer Hospital in Kiev, Ukraine. Union Cabinet approved India's signing of the Biodiversity Beyond National Jurisdiction Agreement. High-intensity wildfire reported in Arctic for third time in 5 years, says European Union's Copernicus. SBI report pitches for a new comprehensive mineral policy. Researchers and governments call for quantum governance to harness the value of quantum science and technology. IUCN report calls for renewed conservation approach. Let us begin with the first news, that is from Kiev, Ukraine, where Russian missiles have struck a children's cancer hospital. This devastating event brings into sharp focus the profound ethical questions surrounding war, prompting us to ask, is war ever truly justified? To explore this, we delve into two contrasting perspectives. On one hand, we have the Tolstoyan view, which condemns war as a crime under any circumstances. On the other hand, the just war theory argues that war can be morally permissible under certain conditions. Now, before we go ahead, let us first get to know about the just war theory. The Vedic literature, Mahabharata, etc. have emphasized on just war. Moreover, in West, Aristotle, Cicero, Augustine, etc. have espoused some form of a just war philosophy. This theory is divided into three key components. Jus ad bellum, which covers the moral justifications for going to war, such as having a just cause, being declared by the right authority and being used as a last resort. Jus in bello, which outlines the moral principles to follow during war, including the humane treatment of prisoners, the protection of civilians, and the prohibition of disproportionate force. And jus post bellum, which deals with the fair treatment of all parties involved once the conflict ends. Coming back, let's consider the key stakeholders involved in any war and their varied interests. Countries may see war as a means to resolve territorial disputes. Citizens often desire both an end to war and the fulfillment of national interest. Soldiers are caught in the crossfire tasked with defending their nation. Industries and financial institutions face disruptions in supply chains and loss of investments. The international community steps in with humanitarian aid, diplomatic support, and peacekeeping efforts. The ethical issues associated with war are numerous and heart-wrenching. There is the undeniable loss of human life, including innocent civilians, women, and children. War often leads to the degradation of moral equality with the dehumanization of the enemy and mistreatment of prisoners of war. Then there are the war crimes and atrocities, including genocide and summary executions, which add another layer of horror. Lastly, there's the ever-present fear of an arms race and the potential use of weapons of mass destruction. As we reflect on the tragic attack on the Children's Cancer Hospital in Kiev, we are reminded of the severe consequences of war and the profound ethical dilemmas it raises.
In exciting news from the Union Cabinet, which has approved India's signing of the Biodiversity Beyond National Jurisdiction Agreement, this marks a significant step towards conserving and sustainably utilizing marine biological diversity in areas beyond national jurisdiction. Let's dive into what the Biodiversity Beyond National Jurisdiction Agreement is all about. This agreement, also known as the High Seas Treaty, is a crucial part of the UN Convention on Law of the Sea. It focuses on the conservation and sustainable use of marine biological diversity in areas beyond national jurisdiction, which we often refer to as the high seas. These high seas are global commons, open to everyone for lawful purposes such as navigation, overflight, and laying submarine cables and pipelines. Adopted in 2023 by the Intergovernmental Conference on Marine Biodiversity of Areas Beyond National Jurisdiction, the BBNJ agreement will become international law once it is signed and ratified by at least 60 countries. This makes it the third implementing agreement to the UN Convention on Law of the Sea, following the 1994 agreement related to the implementation of the UN Convention on Law of the Sea and the 1995 UN Fish Stocks Agreement. In India, the Ministry of Earth Sciences will be responsible for implementing the agreement. Now, what exactly does the Biodiversity Beyond National Jurisdiction Agreement address? It covers four main issues. First is the marine genetic resources. This includes the fair and equitable share of benefits derived from these resources. Second is area-based management tools. This includes measures such as marine protected areas to safeguard marine biodiversity. Next is environmental impact assessments. This to ensure that activities in the high seas do not harm the marine environment. And fourth is capacity building and transfer of marine technology to help all countries, especially developing ones, benefit from marine resources and technologies. To understand the context of this agreement, let's briefly touch upon the UN Convention on Law of the Sea. It was adopted in 1982 and it came into force in 1994, lays down a comprehensive regime of law and order in the world's oceans and seas. It establishes rules governing the use of oceans and their resources by countries, dividing marine areas into zones such as territorial sea, contiguous zone, exclusive economic zone, and the high seas. In conclusion, India's decision to sign the BBNJ agreement is a positive step towards global marine conservation. By participating in this international effort, India is committing to protecting our oceans for future generations.
In our next news, a high-intensity wildfire has been reported for the third time in 5 years according to the European Union's Copernicus. Wildfires have historically been a part of the Arctic's boreal forest and tundra ecosystems. However, the frequency and scale of these wildfires have increased dramatically in recent years, raising significant concerns about the region's future. Let's delve into the reason behind these alarming Arctic wildfires. The Arctic is warming at nearly 4 times the global average rate, a phenomenon known as Arctic amplification. This rapid warming creates conditions conducive to wildfires. Increased lightning strikes driven by warm, moist updrafts over ice-free land have become more common due to rising temperatures. Furthermore, the slowing polar jet stream, which normally circulates air between the mid and northern latitudes, has become stagnant, leading to unseasonably prolonged warm weather that can ignite wildfires. The consequences of these wildfires are far-reaching. They not only cause immediate devastation but also reinforce Arctic warming. Smoke from wildfires reduces the albedo, or the fraction of light that a surface reflects, accelerating the melting of ice sheets. Additionally, the burning of boreal forest and tundra releases vast amounts of greenhouse gases from carbon-rich soils. Copernicus data from June 2024 indicates that wildfire carbon emissions were the third highest in 2 decades. Moreover, there is the issue of permafrost thawing. Permafrost, any ground that remains completely frozen for at least 2 years, holds around 1,700 billion metric tons of carbon. In conclusion, the rapid warming, increased lightning strikes, and slowing polar jet stream are all contributing factors that highlight the urgency of addressing climate change.
Ahead in the news, we have a significant story to discuss about India's mineral policy. The State Bank of India has pushed for a new comprehensive mineral policy to boost the sector and address various challenges. Let's delve into the details. India is rich in both metallic and non-metallic minerals, producing an impressive 95 different minerals. Despite this wealth, India's mineral production growth has stagnated over the past 5 years. This stagnation highlights the urgent need for a new mineral policy. One of the main reasons for this new policy is the low compound annual growth rate. From financial year 19 to financial year 24, the growth of most major minerals in terms of quantity has been either in single digits or declining. This is concerning for a sector with such high employment potential. Mining is labor intensive, and a 10% increase in mineral production in value terms could generate an additional 50,000 to 70,000 daily jobs. Another pressing issue is import reliance. India is 100% dependent on imports for certain critical minerals. These minerals, such as lithium and graphite, are crucial for the country's economic and national security. To curb this reliance and tackle other challenges like bureaucratic and regulatory hurdles and lack of infrastructure, a comprehensive policy is needed. The SBI report recommends a policy that covers the entire value chain. This includes using advanced geoscience techniques, sustainable extraction methods, and establishing robust processing facilities. The report also suggests international collaboration with other countries, enhancing processing capacity, involving the private sector, introducing production-linked incentives, and promoting a circular economy through recycling. India has already taken some steps to promote the mining sector. For instance, Khanij Badesh India Limited or KABIL is mandated to identify and acquire overseas minerals of critical and strategic nature. The Mines and Mineral Development and Regulation Act of 1957, with amendments in 2015 and 20, also plays a crucial role. Additionally, schemes like the Pradhan Mantri Khanij Kshetra Kalyan Yojana and District Mineral Foundation are in place to support the sector. In conclusion, the call for a new comprehensive mineral policy is crucial for India's growth and self-reliance. By addressing the current challenges and leveraging our rich mineral resources, India can not only boost its economy but also create numerous job opportunities.
Ahead in the news, the researchers and governments are calling for quantum governance to harness the value of quantum science and technology. This comes as the University of Oxford recently cautioned against inflated expectations of quantum technologies. Despite their potential in areas like quantum computing and quantum sensors, these technologies carry risks of misuse due to potential dual-use applications, particularly in digital security. In light of these concerns, there is a growing call for quantum governance to raise awareness of quantum concepts and explore their benefits for humankind. Let us first start by discussing about quantum governance. The World Economic Forum was one of the first organizations to discuss quantum computing governance. The quantum governance framework is based on principles of transparency, inclusiveness, accessibility, non-maleficence, equitability, accountability, and the common good. The significance of quantum governance lies in its ability to accelerate the development of responsible quantum computing by building trust in the technology. It emphasizes early ethical consideration by addressing quantum computing ethics during the design and development phases. Moreover, it draws lessons from other technologies by applying ethical principles from fields such as AI, nanotechnology, and nuclear technology. However, there are challenges. Researchers favor open quantum frameworks, while national policies often prioritize strong intellectual property protections for quantum technologies. The private sector's profit-driven approach may hinder responsible, open quantum development. Additionally, there is limited evidence on the impact of responsible innovation policies in quantum governance. Now, let us also understand about quantum technologies. They are based on the principles of quantum mechanics developed in the early 20th century to describe nature at the scale of atoms and elementary particles. Applications of quantum technology include secure communication, disaster management through better prediction, computing, simulation, chemistry, healthcare, cryptography, and more. India has taken notable initiatives in this field, including the National Mission on Quantum Technologies and Applications launched in 2023. The country also boasts 21 quantum hubs and 4 quantum research parks across India. In conclusion, as quantum technologies advance, the call for quantum governance becomes increasingly crucial to ensure their development and use are responsible and beneficial to society.
In our next news, we are diving into an important new report from the International Union for Conservation of Nature, or IUCN, titled Planet on the Move: Reimagining Conservation at the Intersection of Migration, Environmental Change and Conflict. This report calls for a fresh approach to conservation, recognizing the complex interplay between migration, environmental changes, and conflict. First, let's talk about why we need this new conservation approach. The report highlights the interconnectedness of migration, environmental change, and conflict. When environmental changes occur, they often force humans and other species to migrate. This migration can lead to conflicts over scarce natural resources, further degrading the environment and undoing conservation efforts. Therefore, conservation strategies must address this interconnected nexus now and in the future. Additionally, migration policies often operate in silos, treating human and wildlife migration separately despite our shared planet. For example, the 1951 Refugee Convention and the 2012 Kampala Convention define human refugees and displaced persons, while the Convention on the Conservation of Migratory Species of Wild Animals adopted a framework of work on climate change and migratory species in 2014. These separate approaches fail to acknowledge the interconnected nature of human and wildlife migrations. So, what does the IUCN recommend for this new conservation approach? The report calls for addressing migration, humanitarian, and development needs without compromising biodiversity and nature. It also emphasizes the need for international legal mechanisms to protect environmental migrants and resolve conflicts in transit and destination areas. Finally, the report suggests creating greater synergies between various laws to protect intersecting human and wildlife migrations. In conclusion, the IUCN's call for a reimagined conservation approach is timely and essential. By acknowledging the complex relationship between migration, environmental changes, and conflict, we can create more effective and inclusive conservation strategies. The place in the news today is Mongolia with its capital Ulaanbaatar. Mongolia is making headlines as India plans to import coking coal, the primary source of carbon used in steel making, from Mongolia on a trial basis. Mongolia is a landlocked country located in North-Central Asia. It shares its borders with Russia to the north and China to the south. Geographically, Mongolia is largely a plateau. It features major mountain chains such as the Altai, Khangai, and Khenti ranges. The longest river in Mongolia is the Orkhon River, with the Orkhon Valley being a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Lake Khovskol, known as the younger sister to Russia's Lake Baikal, is Mongolia's largest freshwater lake. The country's major commodities include coal, gold, copper, lithium, and fluorspar.
As we conclude today's main news, let's have a look at some quick updates. A study has confirmed that since 2010, Earth's inner core has slowed down significantly. Usually, when core spins slowly, mantle speeds up. The shift causes Earth to move faster and shortens length of a day. Weather agencies have sent an alert in coastal areas of Kerala and Tamil Nadu about possibility of Kallakadal phenomenon. Kallakadal is essentially coastal flooding, usually in pre-monsoon, that is April to May or post-monsoon season, by swell waves on southwest coast of India. Government has invited applications production-linked incentive scheme for white goods, ACs and LED lights. White goods are large electrical goods and home appliances like refrigerators, washing machines and ACs. Production-linked incentive scheme for white goods is a central sector scheme which comes under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Regenerative braking, a feature of EVs, is being widely used among those developing next-gen cars. Regenerative braking slows down a vehicle by removing kinetic energy. Recently, shutting down of Coup, India's Twitter-like app, has raised debate around zombie startups. Zombie startups refer to startups that have raised enough funds during the boom cycle to operate but are currently not generating significant revenue. Scientists have discovered the world's oldest known cave painting inside Ulaanbaatar cave in Sulawesi, Indonesia, dating back at least 51,200 years. Previously, the oldest known painting was in Sulawesi's Ulaanbaatar cave, dating to at least 45,500 years ago. The President of India recently visited Udaygiri caves in Bhubaneswar. Udaygiri and Khandagiri caves are built on the Kumari mountain range and are the earliest examples of rock-cut cave tradition in Orissa. Indian Navy's P-8I aircraft joined Rim of the Pacific Exercise 2024 in Hawaii, USA. The Rim of Pacific exercise is the world's largest multinational naval exercise held biennially. Before we sign off, let's challenge your understanding in today's installment of Test Your Knowledge. Thank you for joining us. We hope you found this episode of News Today engaging. For the solution to today's quiz and to access the PDF version of News Today, remember to visit the provided links in the description below.